Kyler Murray's done for the season. That should spell the end to him as an Arizona Cardinal. But that's not the biggest story come this weekend. It's everybody else that's out. Let's discuss.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Locked On Cardinals, Alex Clancy here. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the #1 sports podcast platform on the planet in Locked On. Man, this season has not gone like we'd expected. There's so many things to discuss today. Had a great crossover Thursday yesterday with Travis Rogers from Locked On Rams. Check that out. Kyler Murray is out for the year. That should spell the end. But that's not a conversation to be had now because we're talking about the players who are active and also who are inactive just for this week. And there is a laundry list. I'll get into it. So you're going to get more Michael Wilson, more Trey McBride, even more than you did when Marv was out the first time, like he is this week, because Greg Dortch is also out, and the keys to victory per usual. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. You know the drill. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. So, Kyler Murray out for the year. I don't think this is a surprise. I don't think this is something that comes as a shock. Whatever other adjective you want to use for surprise or synonym you want to use for surprise, here it is. I don't say this flippantly. I don't say this with any sort of animosity. I don't say this with any sort of forgetfulness over what the last, 6.5 seasons have been like. He probably won't be on the Arizona Cardinals next year. Hashtag analysis. He'll probably find a good home, and he'll probably be pretty good wherever he goes. This was never an anti-Kyler Murray character arc, ever. For those that have watched this show for more than the last 2 months, I have been king champion of the Kyler Murray fan club, for better or for worse. I think he's a top 3, definitely top 5 quarterback the Arizona Cardinals have ever had in their existence. And they're the longest tenured football team in the history of sport. So top 5, pretty good. Wasn't given a full deck to work with during a large portion of the time he's been quarterback. And this isn't one where there's going to be, again, any sort of animosity. It's like you get divorced due to irreconcilable differences. A lot of that could be just like, we just don't really like each other anymore. Not in the sense that we don't like each other as people, but it just doesn't work. That whatever it is just doesn't work, and it's time to go our separate ways. Let's high five and go. And I think that's what this is going to be. Everybody loves Kyler, I think. I do. I think he's great. Okay? When he got hurt, the offense took an uptick. He never got healthy again. So it doesn't really matter if he would have played when he came back. He's not healthy, they say. And there you go. I don't know what this means. I don't know the severity of him being injured still. I don't know if this is, again, not the soft close. No, this is the full hard close. And Kyler Murray not being an Arizona Cardinal again. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not inside the locker room. I'm not privy to those conversations. But we do know that he is not going to play this year, and all conventional wisdom and rational thought would lend you to think that they're going to find a new home for him come 2026. Is it right? I don't know. I think Kyler, although the valleys were more pronounced than the peaks were extraordinary. The peaks were extraordinary. So let's not be so quick to forget all the great things that he's done as an Arizona Cardinal. And I know that the win-loss record didn't show it except for that 1 year. I know the playoff game that everybody still, goes back to, which was 5 years ago now. But you get 2 minutes. He's not playing again this year. We need to talk about the players who might be playing again this year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is out. Taylor-Demerson's out. Max Melton's out. Walter Nolen's out. Greg Dortch is out. And Trey Benson will not make his return. Did I say Trey Benson already? So a large contingent of the young talent the Cardinals have will, again, not play on Sunday. I don't know what the conversation needs to pivot to, where it's like, how is everybody hurt all of a sudden? Like, is this a let's take the foot off the brake? If it's 50-50, if they were in contention, that maybe these guys would push, but because they're not, they aren't. I don't know. That's a very tricky, speculative, angle to take. Oh, these guys aren't hurt. It's just the end of the year and they want to lose games. I will never take that angle. But with all of that said, you still got Garrett Williams, you've still got Will Johnson, you've still got Budda Baker, you've still got Jalen Thompson, and you're going up against the best 1-2 wide receiver punch in football. I know that people would say T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua and Davante Adams are so wildly different in this stage of their career with their skill sets and how they're utilized that is going to be a whirling dervish washing machine experience for the secondary for the Cardinals, especially with Sean McVay calling the shots. So that's what I'm most excited about watching. I talked about this during the crossover yesterday. I'm most excited to see Garrett Williams plus Will Johnson v. Davante Adams and Puka Nacua. They're not going to always line up alongside each other or opposed each other, opposite of each other. Got there. But that's going to be the most fascinating thing for me to watch on Sunday. And with Max Melton out and with Taylor-Demerson out, you're going to see some Denzel Burke. And he's had his ups and downs this year. He had a very good game against Dallas. He's a 5th-round rookie out of Ohio State. We'll see. You're going to get Cody Simon again, the green dot with Mac Wilson on IR. The interior is going to be Darius Robinson. It's going to be Calais. It's going to be Dalvin Tomlinson. But for me, like as a fan of football and as a fan of watching rookies, second-year, third-year guys, especially for the team that I've covered and, been in this space for, 15 years, is like, I want to see Walter Nolen play every second. I want to see Taylor-Demerson playing that demon lineup with the other two safeties, and then Will Johnson and Garrett Williams playing on the outside with Jalen Thompson in the slot. I want to see that. We've barely seen it this year. So when it's a throwaway season, quote unquote, that's been marred and riddled by injuries, you're just missing out. You're vacating the fun part of watching young guys play football together for the first time. It's like the promise and future of this team talent-wise with their young talent, especially on defense, because that's kind of the mystery, not in the mystery of can it happen, the mystery of what's it going to look like when it does happen, and is it going to reach that elite level that you'd hope? You're not going to get to see it. So I'm holding on to Will Johnson, I'm holding on to Garrett Williams, and we're going to watch them go head up with the best 1-2 punch wide receivers in football. Everybody's out, but two of the key important dudes for the future of this team are not. And that's going to be them two and Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson versus the world and Sean McVay. And I am here for it. With Marv out, with Greg Dortch out, it's going to be a lot more Michael Wilson and even more Trey McBride than we've seen up until this point. What's that going to look like, and are they going to be able to execute it against one of the better defenses they're going to play the rest of the year? Discuss it next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast, man. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. And that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game. You're reacting to it in real time. And with FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting's best when the game, starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover, and FanDuel lets you jump in on the action. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. So, say hypothetically speaking, Puka Nacua's over-under skyrockets because he has a 30-yard chunk gain in the first quarter. You can put some cheese on it. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bet all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast. The game moves fast, and so can you. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals, hit that subscribe button, man. Season 9 was supposed to be the most exciting. It was for a while, and now it's just sad. Right? It's just sad. We expect it. We deserve more. It just sucks. It sucks that injuries have just derailed. On top of the one-score games altogether, the fact you haven't had James Conner in months, the fact that Trey Benson hasn't been there in months, the fact that Marv has been in and out the majority of the season, the fact that Walter Nolen missed the first couple months, like everybody's been hurt. Max Melton, Mac Wilson, all of the impact guys outside of a couple have been hurt. Kyler Murray. It's just like, not this way, not this way. And this is why, and this is just, we've talked about this a little bit. I've alluded to it multiple times. I think Jonathan Gannon will be back. I don't think they're going to extend him. I think he'll be back for a year. Hopefully everybody stays healthy, and then you can find out. I know it's year 3. I know it'll be year 4. I don't know how you can coach at a level when you've got the majority, at times, your impact players hurt. I don't know. It's not an excuse, but it is a reason to bring somebody back. Michael Wilson and Trey McBride are going to get 30 targets on Sunday. They're going to get 30 targets on Sunday, and it's going to be – and listen, it's going to be awesome and fun to watch. It's not going to be any sort of real replicate of what's going to happen next year, you'd expect. It kind of reminds me of the Joe Flacco and Amari Cooper / David Njoku year 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, where they became fantasy darlings, and I think it was after Deshaun Watson got hurt, and Joe Flacco just threw them the ball every single snap. It was one of the two of them. And they made the playoffs, and they ended up losing to Houston, I believe. It's going to be like that. So it's going to be a little fool's goldie, but I do believe that showing the proof of concept with Michael Wilson has no downside. It has no downside. 2 games without Marv, 2 all-world performances. And this is a tougher defense. They're going to get a lot of pressure on Jacoby Brissett, you'd expect. But you're going to see, even without Greg Dortch and Zay Jones, obviously with the Achilles, like you'll have Xavier Weaver and, Trey and Michael. They could quite literally get 30 targets combined. Quite literally. And it could be, 10 or 12 catches each for over 100 yards and a touchdown each or whatever it is. It really is, a lot of it's predicated upon the run game and if Van Mike can get any push and if the right side of the offensive line can hold up, if Evan Brown can hold up. It's rinse and repeat every week, and it's going to be rinse and repeat every week because they play difficult defenses for the rest of the year outside of Cincinnati in week 17. Atlanta's got a good defense. So with Marv out, with Greg Dortch out, it's going to be the same. And Trey McBride is just going to shatter. Like, I wonder if he'll shatter all-time single-season tight end records. Now that Jacoby Brissett is officially going to be the quarterback for the rest of the year, barring any sort of unforeseen events, that's going to be like the diamond in the rough for this last part of the season is how many numbers can Trey McBride stack? Yeah, they're going to be garbage time numbers, season garbage time numbers. But how many numbers can he stack? Can he have a top 5 tight end season ever? It'll be fun to watch. Those are like kind of little things. We talked about that earlier in the week. Like the positives, Trey's there. Michael Wilson's like the X receiver has produced when it's just been one of them. And that's just when Michael Wilson produces 2 out of the last 3 weeks. So we'll see if they can do it again with a defense that has been leaky in the secondary. A defense that gave up a lot of points to Carolina last week. 2 were on wild chunk gains. I think one was a swing pass to Chuba Hubbard for 40 to the house, and then one was where Ted McMillan got over the safety and just housed it. It was either over the safety or over a corner. I can't remember. So big plays can be had, but you got to be able to protect Jacoby Brissett, and that's jumping into keys to victory next. That's going to be one of them, as it is every week. I am fascinated to see if the Cardinals are going to be able to run the ball. I know it sounds boring. I know it sounds like, well, obviously they're not going to be able to because they haven't up until this point. And the defensive front for the Rams is no joke. You got to kind of see what you got now with Bam Knight. Is he going to be RB2 when Trey Benson comes back in 2026? Are they going to go and sign a guy or are they going to draft a guy? Can Bam Knight show enough for the rest of the season? Be like, hey, you know what? He's good enough to be RB2, and you've got him in-house. Because he's had flashes. He had, a huge touchdown run called back by kind of a phantom holding call against the 49ers a couple weeks ago. He's shown some scoop, but I think it's chicken or the egg. Again, is the offensive line or lack of production by the running back? Like, would James Conner be able to produce more than Bam Knight is now? I think the obvious answer is yes. But the real question is, would Trey Benson be able to produce more than Bam Knight is now? And I think the answer is still yes. But under a microscope for the rest of the year, you got to see what you have with the running backs. Just so you've got to see what you have with Michael Wilson. If he's able to continue to do this with Marv out, does he get a 2-year contract extension at the end of the year? You're obviously watching Jacoby Brissett. Is he a guy that you can start next season? These are the same conversations we're going to have going into every game day for the rest of the year. This one is a little bit more impactful because the Cardinals are in the crosshairs of a team that lost to a team they should have beat, who have number 1 overall seed in the NFC aspirations in the Rams. And not only are they fighting against Philly, Detroit, and others, they're fighting against the Seahawks in division. So every division matchup is massive for these teams down the stretch. So the Cardinals are, of all of the weeks to play the Rams up until this week, this is the worst time. Because Sean McVay will have blood in his... No. Oh, got it. Sean McVay will see blood in the water, and does. And a get-right game could very well be what we witness with the Rams putting up a 40-burger against this undermanned and hurt defense. But we'll see. I mean, listen, if you told me that the Cardinals lost by 10 or less, be like, yeah, that's exactly what's happened for the majority of this season outside of the Seattle and 49ers game. Well, the Rams are in division, and they've been running roughshod. So yes, you could see that too. But the Cardinals have competed every week, man. The Seattle game was tough. 2 scooping scores. That's tough. That's tough to circumvent. And the 49ers going up 7 right when the game starts. It's tough to circumvent. Obviously, it's not an original story, the latter. But, I mean, if the Cardinals are able to turn over Matt Stafford, who had two picks, I think one was a pick 6 last week, breaking his 28 touchdown passes in a row without an interception streak. Like, that's the most difficult part about this season. Well, one of them is the Cardinals have been in almost every game and had a chance to win almost every game. And it's not like, they were down 20 and then they came back and scored, 17 points with 10 seconds left and you have to get an onside kick and a Hail Mary to win. Like, these were back and forth games, the majority of them, all season. So if you tell me that the Rams game is going to be the same, we'll be like, yeah, okay. But that's all we've seen outside of the Seattle game and the 49ers game, where they were spotted 21 points collectively in those 2 weeks with 2 scooping scores and that 98-yard kickoff return that resulted in a Christian McCaffrey walk-in touchdown before anybody knew the game even started. Now, do I think that the Rams are going to dominate and have their way? I would have a proclivity to choose that as opposed to this being a tight game down the stretch. But to say that the Cardinals do not have that in their DNA just isn't true, because we've seen it all year outside of, a couple weeks in the last month. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. What are the keys to victory? Yes, say it. Turnover battle is number 1, but I got to talk about it in a different way now. We'll discuss it next. It's difficult to say the turnover battle is the most important thing because the Cardinals turned Jacksonville over 4 times and still lost. 4 times, bro. Damn, I don't pull bro out on the show a lot. I gotta take a little sip of my coffee here. The Cardinals need to turn Matthew Stafford over and can't turn the ball over. That's like a must. They need extra possessions. They need short fields. Maybe it's an interception in the end zone. Like, that's one, but it's, to me, the number 1 most important thing always is protect the quarterback. Okay. If you don't protect the quarterback, none of this is going to work. I've been saying that since 13. And it's not, I'm not the first person to say that. I know that. But with the Cardinals, for me on Sunday, protecting Jacoby Brissett's one, Will Johnson, Garrett Williams versus 2 wideouts. That's everything for me on Sunday. That's going to be something for the rest of the year that I'm going to be most excited to watch. Hopefully they stay healthy down the stretch. Against Nico Collins, and then, Drake London if he's healthy, and Kyle Pitts and Darnell Mooney. They've got a bunch of dudes there. And then obviously T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And then you get these 2 guys again in week 18. That's the biggest one for me. Key to victory, keep Davante Adams and Puka Nacua under 150 combined yards. If they can do that, they can win. And then a little ancillary part to that, which has been a cheat code, is inside the 5-yard line, Matthew Stafford throwing the ball to Davante Adams is always a touchdown, it seems. Always a touchdown. If they get in there, it's always a touchdown. 2 of my 3 fantasy leagues are very happy about that, but it's always a touchdown. So keeping them under 150 yards, field goals instead of touchdowns. That's it. That's how they stay in games. But if you're giving up a 60-yard chunk touchdown catch to Puka Nacua, or a big sweeping crossing route for 35 to the house for Davante Adams, the Cardinals have no shot. The dark horse here, though, outside of those 2, and I talked about this on the crossover yesterday, you can check that out, is Terrence Ferguson. It's Terrence Ferguson. It's a rookie tight end. Because they run him up the seam. He runs wide receiver routes. And the Cardinals, forever, have been bad against a tight end, by and large. So that's kind of the wrench thrown into, well, just stop Puka and Davante and you'll be fine. Like, they've got so many more weapons. You got Kyron Williams, and Blake Corum has been running roughshod. He's kind of 1 and 1A with Kyron Williams now. Their offensive line's been pretty good. This is going to be just such a massive test for the defense, for the secondary. And without Walter Nolen, without Mac Wilson, without Rabbit, Garrett Williams and Will Johnson will be under that microscope. And I am so excited. I'm so ready to watch them play. I'm so excited to see what they can do. It's going to be a nice barometer check. It's going to be a nice litmus test. It really will be. But then you go to the offensive line, see if the right side can hold up. See if Paris Johnson Jr. continue to get better and better. They've got a 3-headed monster in Jared Verse, Byron Young, and Braden Fisk. I know they play different positions on the line. They use them in very different ways. And that's not the only guys that they have. Those aren't the only guys that they have. But those are the 3 that, wreak the most havoc. And when you're not looking at Kyler Murray and you're looking at Jacoby Brissett, who's going to stand in the pocket and take hits and deliver the ball, when you have a target like that instead of a guy who runs around like it's easier to pin your ears back. So the Cardinals need to win the turnover battle. That's the easy one. Okay. You need to, not the easy one. That's the obvious one, but again, they took the ball away 4 times against Jacksonville and still lost. Keeping Puka Nacua and Davante Adams under 150 yards and out of the end zone gives the Cardinals a real chance to win. Truly. I know that's the highest tall task, but that's kind of the check there. Under 150, no touchdowns. Cardinals can win. Protecting Jacoby Brissett naturally. And really, the great equalizer in all of this is if the Cardinals can run the ball, control the clock, you can win the game. It's an outside chance. Okay. The Cardinals are undermanned. And I'll tell you what, if there's any guy, even though he's an offensive guy, if there's any guy in this league who could take Michael Wilson away and snub Trey McBride a little bit down from his pedestal, it's Sean McVay and his guys. It will be a huge testament to Michael Wilson and Trey McBride's talent if they can produce against Sean McVay's team, even though Carolina did it last week. And, there's been garbage on a bunch of points San Francisco scored, but Sean McVay knows the Cardinals better than Carolina and all the other out-of-division teams. He's had their number forever outside of week 2 last year. So this would be a huge proof of concept game. not only for Trey McBride and Michael Wilson, but also Garrett Williams and Will Johnson, if they can keep Davante Adams and Puka Nacua at bay in some capacity. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. After the game, 15 minutes of me, then the Cardinal Squad show immediately after. I'll talk to you then.